Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Sam will be on with us in just a few minutes. So I'm going to go to a few things first before we get on there with you. And one of the things, saw this, as we all know, tomorrow, 420, we're going to discuss it a little bit further. Where did it come from? What's the actual name? Why is it called that? There's a couple of theories, a couple of myths. We're going to throw some of that out. But here's something interesting. First off, one of the ideas is that they believe that the 420 is the number of active chemicals. Okay. Reason why I'm throwing that out is I actually got this from Wingstop. Wingstop is doing a special tomorrow, like a lot of companies will be. So I ask all of you to support people. Ben and Jerry's, for example, who does endorsements, who supports this industry. So buy their products. Let's find out other companies to support. But Wingstop, for example, customers can choose Wingstop's chicken sandwich, 8-piece boneless or classic wings, or 3-piece chicken tenders. That is going to be tomorrow. Now, the meal is going to be drizzled in a spicy ranch topped with cheese. All their other servings. Meal comes with a 20-ounce drink and a side of ranch, depending on the protein choice, it says. They range from, they're calling it the hot box. And it ranges from $8.99 to $13.99. So that's just one of examples of a lot of specials that will be out there tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in your area, your region, depending on the different companies. I'm sure, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure Ben & Jerry's has something special as well. Because so many places do. And one thing that's interesting is a lot of these shops are not just going to gear for tomorrow. They're going to gear for a week-long promotion, a month-long promotion, because I understand a lot of people can't be there tomorrow due to work or other arrangements and things that they've already got set up. So unfortunately, not everybody's going to be able to jump in tomorrow at 420, but shops are going to try to accommodate that. So this year, shops are shifting from the one day of the 420 promotion to running it up to 1 month, realizing, as we say, that not everyone can take advantage of that day. Now, keep in mind, too, there's a lot of events going on. Atlanta itself, I think I saw about 15 to 20 events at least. And those are just the major ones, whether they be a form of a get-together, a festival, so to speak, or these individual CBD stores are probably going to be doing stuff, too. So check out locally what you've got going on. Support them. Let's get in there, show them support so that we can grow the movement, move forward with it. I know that one particular group, I don't know if I can pull it up right now, but I know that there is a group that I believe I saw is planning on doing a get-together near the Capitol, the White House in D.C. to try to get Biden to move forward in rescheduling as well as legalizing it across the nation, legalizing it federally. We've seen a lot of growing support throughout the nation, of course, but we still got so much to do going forward, even more so. So we need to get out there. We need to help. We need to support. We need to move forward with it. Now, as we're waiting for Sam, we'll bring him back and we'll quiz him on this. The question is, where does the 420 come from? Some say 420 is the code among police officers. That supposedly quotes marijuana smoking in progress. That one I had not heard before. Okay. Another one, get this, oddly enough, some note 420 is also Adolf Hitler's birthday. And some go as far as to cite Bob Dylan's song, Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35, because 12 multiplied by 35 equals 420. So you see some of the ideas, the theories, the myths, whatnot. But to put it bluntly, those rumors of history behind how April 20th and 420 got associated are, of course, false. The most credible story traces 420 to Marion County, California. In 1971, 5 students at San Rafael High School would meet at 4:20 p.m. by the campus statue of chemist Louis Pasteur to partake. They chose that specific time because extracurricular activities had unusually ended by then. This group, Steve Capper, Dave Redux, Jeffrey Noel, Larry Swartz, and Mark Garvowich, became known as Waldos. Now, I can't say if That's where did Waldo come from? That would be an interesting thing that we'll have to look into. I can't tell you that they wore red and white. I doubt it was maybe a form of green. Don't know. Because they met at the wall, they would say 420 to each other as a code. As Redux told Time in 2017, we got tired of Friday night football scene with all the jocks. We were the guys sitting under the stand smoking a doobie, wondering what we were going to do there. The shenanigans continued long after 420 also. The group challenged each other to find ever more interesting things to do under the influence, calling their adventures safaris. Later, his brother helped him get work with the Grateful Dead bassist Phil Lesh as a roadie. So the band is said to have helped popularize the term 420. On December 28, 1990, a group of deadheads in Oakland handed out flyers and invited people to smoke 420 on April 20th at 420. Wound it up with Steve Bloom, a former reporter for High Times magazine. An authority on cannabis culture, the magazine printed the flyer in 1991 worldwide as a code for marijuana. In 1998, the outlet acknowledged the Waldos were the inventors of 420. So that gives you a little bit of idea, a little mindset, a little background there. So perhaps now when you say, where's Waldo? You got a different meaning, a different mindset behind it, completely different idea than what initially was thought of. That's something I didn't know. I looked at this last night and never heard of that before. Very interesting. Bloom, now the publisher of CelebrityStoner.com, has credited the people who wrote the flyer for the date's reputation as an annual gathering for pot smokers. They wanted people all over the world to get together one day each year and collectively smoke pot at the same time. He wrote that in 2015. They birthed the idea of the Stoner holiday, which has become, of course, April 20th, the fourth month of the year, on the 20th date, 420. So, little history, a little background there. Like I said, once Sam gets on here, we're going to quiz him on that, see what he knows, because I'd actually heard of it being known as Hitler's birth date, but of course that has nothing to do with 420 other than coincides with the date. I also have a friend whose birthday tomorrow, Aaron. Happy birthday tomorrow on 420. So we're getting to a little bit of the notes now here. Alabama. Here's where the first state we're going to start with. Products are expected later this year or early next. The Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission will license as many as 17 companies to raise plants, which will grow in enclosed facilities with around-the-clock video monitoring and tight security. Cultivators. Now, this is where it gets in. Sam, perfect timing. Welcome.
Hey, good morning. How y'all doing?
We're good. I have a pop quiz for you. I don't know if you heard what we started on, but I just went through the background of where 420 came from, how it was known to come to what we know today. So I'm going to go back in a minute, and I'm going to throw out a couple of quizzes to see if you have any idea. But currently, what we were discussing was Alabama. There's products that are expected in Alabama late this year or next. The Medical Cannabis Commission will license as many as 17 companies to raise plants. Now, they're going to be grown in enclosed facilities with round-the-clock video monitoring and tight security. This is the part to me that's a little interesting. Cultivators, for example, they're going to allow 12 applications accepted and 12 licenses. But processors, 11 applications have been accepted, but only 4 are going to be granted. Dispensaries will be 18 accepted. 4 will be granted those. However, each of those 4 will be allowed to have 3 locations per. So we're looking at 12 total. Secure transporters, 9 accepted, no limits announced. State testing labs, 2 accepted, no limit announced yet. And integrated facilities, they're going to have 38 applications accepted, but only 5 will be granted those licensings.
Wow. Yeah, that's they're controlling what they're putting out right now. It sounds like they don't have the full infrastructure in place.
Correct. That's what it sounds like. I mean, it's marginally a decent little start, but I like the idea of the dispensaries. Even though they're going to have 4, they're going to allow them to have 3 each under those names. So we get to 12, but still are going to have to do some of this stuff to change the limits. The nice thing about the state testing labs are no limits. They need to have multiple state testing labs throughout the state, I believe.
No, absolutely. Testing is and research is important to get the data.
Yeah.
As long as you're able to control what goes out. The thing about it is the false narratives.
Right.
That is a big concern when they do the research. Trying to eliminate the biasness that comes with this industry itself. So hopefully we do have individuals that are out there trying to keep it set the record straight for people to safely consume and use.
Absolutely. So, yes, I know I sent you the notes. Hopefully, you're not cheating. Do you have any idea where 420, the day and the term, actually came from?
You're gonna have to enlighten me on that one.
All right, so I'm going to keep it brief since I went through it. Some people have said 420 is a code among police officers, as we know on the radios, for marijuana smoking in progress. That's not true. Another one, which this is factual on the term of the date, tomorrow is the birth date of Adolf Hitler. But again, that's not where 420 came from. Some have even gone so far to cite Bob Dylan's song Rainy Day Woman, number 12 and 35, because 12 multiplied by 35 equals 420. But that's not true either. Quick breakdown. Basically, it came from California. Okay. You had a group of individuals who would meet at that time of 420 because there were no school activities going on. They would meet on the wall to smoke, and they were known as Waldos. Now, I threw this out earlier. I'd like to know if that's where, hey, where's Waldo? Maybe that kind of is a tie-in. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's basically where it happened. It was their code that, hey, we're going to meet at this wall at this time to be able to smoke. And it grew and grew and grew to the point where one of the guy's brothers had him tied in with a Grateful Dead bassist who literally helped popularize that term and move it forward. And then they ended up meeting with a gentleman, Steve Bloom, a reporter for High Times, who started writing articles about it. It became bigger and bigger and bigger, as we've seen every year. And that's where essentially you became known with 420, associating the time with the fourth month of the year at 20th date. And that's where 420 came from.
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Right. So now my question is, and I'd like to look at this more, is not saying it's true, but interesting that we actually had that character called Where's Waldo, huh? You think maybe that was a secret coalition that nobody's put together yet?
I know. That's where the best secrets come from, right?
Exactly. So I'm going to have to look into that because I was curious after reading that going, huh. Now, of course, we know Waldo wears white and red, but maybe he needs to be changed to a form of white and green.
Could be.
So we'll have to look into that. I'm curious. I also threw out the fact that, hey, you know, a lot of places are going to do special things for 420. For example, Wingstop is doing a special feature called Hot Box. Prices are going to range from $8.99 to $13.99. That's going to be available tomorrow. But a lot of these places, which we'll hit on again real quick, the shops are going to shift away from a one-day event to either a week or a month-long event because they realize not everybody's going to be able to jump in on that day due to work or other obligations. So a lot of these shops now are going to go to a week or month-long celebration, not a one day.
You know, it's fitting that we need those support services daily, not just once not just once a month, not even once a year, but we need it daily. So to work on prolonging the impact that can happen, it needs to be done definitely for 1 month. We can start off with 1 month and we can expand it out to a year.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be huge, not just for the industry, but again, it makes people feel like, hey, I'm not able to do today because of obligations or work, but can move forward.
Right.
So real quick, I am looking at it and we'll go into more, but supposedly Where's Waldo was first published in UK in 1987. And the idea was the character Waldo to help provide a link between each scene in the book. And it was just a showcase of this artist's talent. I still think there's a little bit more to that story, but hey, we'll have to look into that another time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Curious, we'll find out. So our next state we were going to go to is Kentucky. 2025 is what they're looking at. Kentucky's new medical marijuana law will take effect, granting individuals with quality qualifying health conditions legal access to the non-combustible form of cannabis products, and they will not have to travel across state lines to purchase them. Now, this is going to get interesting though. Representative Jason Nemes insists the law won't put the state on a pathway to recreational legalization, only medical only. The new law follows an executive order by the governor, Andy Beshear, to allow Kentuckians to legally use medical marijuana purchased in surrounding states so they can take it across the lines. Beshear previously announced he would withdraw his order once the GOP-dominated Kentucky legislature passes its own medical cannabis law. The Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services has its work cut out for it because under Senate Bill 47, the cabinet has been tasked with building a medical cannabis program that would oversee the card holders who use it, the healthcare workers who treat them, and the dispensaries that provide it, also the stakeholders involved. This will create an electronic monitoring system to facilitate the tracking of the medical cannabis from the point of cultivation to the point of sale to the card holders. Right now, the anticipation is that this law will go into effect on January 1st. So, before we go into who qualifies, what are your thoughts there?
What it does is it actually lines up from the beginning to the end. And ultimately, we want to know who's getting it, even though it's somewhat an invasion of privacy. But the most important thing is that it doesn't go into kids' hands. So we want to make sure it goes into an adult hand, and then that way, from what's called chain of custody, you're able to at least monitor that person. That person may have to go in and do some form of testing. It's kind of similar to what happens now with the opioids when they're prescribed to you. You have to actually go to a substance abuse professional, go through a Q&A and testing to make sure that you're not overusing it, and also make sure that you are using it.
Now, two things with that. And one, that comment you made about children's hands. You know what? Actually, underneath this, they can qualify. Children under 18 can qualify under certain legalizations and certain restrictions. However, they cannot purchase it.
That's very key. You still need adult supervision. So any person under 18 need adult supervision.
Right. So my question though is, and of course we know times can change, but literally they're stating that this law that they're going to pass does not pave the way to recreational legalization. So now, before we get into who qualifies under this, why would that not start opening that door as well?
That is very peculiar. Um, you would think automatically when you put that into place it'll start opening the doors, but there are going to be some pushbacks. Just in general, it started from the law enforcement viewpoint up to whoever is the commander in chief for that city or town, um, or for that state.
So my first thought, and we all understand how some of these political games move, you could be going that realm because right now there's not enough support for recreational in that state. Maybe they're concerned of what could happen, what it might else tie in and bring. So they could be going with the medical end to say, hey, let's do medical, let's prove it, let's show it, then we'll move down the road to recreational. But again, this is just speculation on my thought, no idea.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Um, that's something where time is going to cure that.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that, so it's just a matter of time.
So now, for example, who qualifies for this? The residents of Kentucky, first of all. They must obtain a written certification from qualified health provider, meaning a doctor or advanced practice registered nurse, authorized to prescribe controlled substances and appropriately licensed by the state board. Those also not convicted of a disqualifying felony offense. Like we said, those under 18 can qualify, but they cannot purchase. So, how are you considered? Any type or form of cancer, regardless of the age. Chronic, severe, intractable or debilitating pain, epilepsy or other seizure disorders, multiple sclerosis, muscle spasms or spatrophy, chronic nausea, vomiting syndrome resistant to other conventional treatment methods, PTSD also. Now, here's one of the things that's kind of interesting. They haven't noted this yet. The amount of what's considered a 30-day supply is yet to be determined. So they haven't come out and said it's this much, it's this, it's gram ounce, whatever. There is no definition yet on that 30-day supply. However, like we stated, this does not look to go into effect until January 1st. So we're what, 17 and a half months out roughly?
Yeah, yeah, close to it. From 1 year to the next, man, they use time as a buffer.
Right.
So we have to definitely be patient with that.
But at the same point, at least they're putting that structure in, even though there is a long-term timeout. But hey, they're saying this is what we're looking at in that 17 months. They should have enough time to put that all together.
They should. They should. Hopefully they don't push it back or create a reason to push it back. So let's continue to monitor it and talk about it.
Exactly. So, for example, those people who are in Kentucky and want more information, they can visit the Kentucky Cabinet for Health and Family Services for more information on how to register to get a card, changes within the structure, how the law is going. All that information should be right there for them on that site.
Sounds good. Sounds
so now
good.
We're gonna,
Can you put that site up?
Absolutely. I will put that site up on ours this afternoon. I will try to find the actual link for the site itself so that click and go. And we don't have to worry about that. No problem. We will work on that today for sure.
Okay.
So now about this, Maryland. Maryland just got one step closer to setting up an adult use market this past week. The state legislative bill passed that it would implement legalization. The Governor Westmore, Democrat, is expected to sign the bill. Further work on the program is likely in future sessions. The goal, however, was never to come up with the perfect product that will never be changed. I think we're going to have to make adjustments to this program on this legal framework every session over the next several years.
Okay.
Well, but the bright side is at least he's saying, hey, look, we're like the way our Constitution set up with amendments. We know that this is the structure, the framework, but we know that this isn't perfect. We know there's changes. We know things are going to change, whether it be descheduling, information on studies. At least he's opened the door to say, hey, this isn't the end all be all. We know a lot of work's got to be done.
And that's good for him to have an open mindset. It helps for the industry. It shows that he's also allowing it to be a change, an opportunity for change.
No, absolutely. That's going to be very important because I'm sure if we were to go back and look at Colorado, Vegas, those in California, whatever they initially wrote up is probably not where they are today.
That is 100%.
So now staying up here in the Northeast, New Hampshire, the House of Representatives passed an adult use legalization bill. Now the Senate will take up the matter. A hearing before the Judicial Committee has been set up. Guess when? Tomorrow, 4/20.
Wonderful. More reason to celebrate.
Exactly. So the governor, Chris Sununu, is a Republican, has indicated that if the bill reaches his desk, he will veto it.
Hey, man, we need to set up express courier service for tomorrow. We're busy, but that's a reason to go. We need to push that forward.
No, exactly. And then, that's one of the things that I think is a big stumbling block with the way things are set up, government, whatever it is. So you've literally got the Senate taking up the matter out of the hearing in front of the Judicial Committee. But as the governor, you're not even going to listen to what they're stating, what they're proposing, what their thought is. You're just saying, if it comes to me, I'm vetoing it.
That's something that is a conversation piece. And then with a day with the magnitude of 420, for everyone that celebrates that day, it's a commemoration. and he's doing something very, 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 very radical. Something that a lot of commanders of states do not do. So I applaud him, and whatever we can do support wise, you can put that one up as well. Retweet that one, um, so that way we can get that out. He needs to be applauded for that.
Absolutely. Now, it's interesting what you just said because it's something else I want to mention. How about this one? And we know this is not the case because the stuff that we've had, whether it was Dr. Rashad or whoever told us some of these histories, other guests and all. But guess what? If you think drug use is modern invention, you're wrong. Researchers in Spain have recently discovered evidence of people ingesting psychedelics 3,000 years ago. It appears the substance were taking purposely and with the help of a knowledgeable guide.
Wow.
So this isn't new.
3,000 years ago.
Right. So the question I have, of course, was, kind of curious as to what were they taking these for? Were they taking them for enlightenment, for knowledge, for, as they would say, going on to the next plane? I don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely is.
Yep. So now something I want to do, and I didn't give you these notes because we still got some time here after some of this. Tomorrow is 420. A lot of people are going to partake, as they should. And of course, we encourage everybody, do it in a safe environment. Do it with people that you know. Do it with people who understand how this works, because there's going to be a lot of people partaking tomorrow who, one, are not normally using or have ever used before. So everybody, please do it with people you trust in a safe space. But here's a couple of things I want to bring up to you. Does CBD show up on a drug test, and what you should know before getting tested? So what do you know about any of that?
Well, once again, it starts with the state, and with the requirements of the state. The testing itself, I think, should go into the research data. It should create a log of height, body weight, age, gender, and whether you've used before or not. So that way there can be they can compile research data.
Right. And so, for example, of course, we know this. Drugs last for a different length of time in the body. Of course, it depends on several factors, and like you'd said, including the type of the drug, how long before the tested person uses the drug, how much of the drug is used in the body can all reflect on there. So cannabidiol, CBD, is very common. It's the second most prevalent active ingredient in cannabis, according to the Harvard Health Publishing. Okay. So the FDA, as we know, has eased some regulation requirements as of December 2015. But again, even though, as we stated on here, they have relaxed some of this, doesn't mean that your particular job has. So you definitely have to look into that. Now, how do the tests work, for example? Drug tests are designed to look for the signs of one or more illegal or prescribed drugs in the person's system by using, of course, urine, blood, saliva, hair, or sweat. We know those are the commons. A drug test may look for a single drug or a group, as we said. Here are some of the common substances a drug test may screen for. Those who have taken the test before will know some of this. Alcohol, of course. Amphetamines. Then you've got into your marijuana, cocaine, opiates, steroids, PCP, your benzocyclines, a lot of different things. Now, these testings will conduct or determine whether a person has been using or misusing it. Cannabis drug testing is particularly screened for THC, the compound, of course, as we've talked about, which they say is responsible for getting that high. CBD does not cause the effect of getting high, which we've talked about because the product is 0.3 only. To pass a cannabis urine drug test, your body must contain below 50 nanograms per milliliter of the THC. Now, The next part is, can CBD make you fail the drug test? Drug test does not screen for CBD. However, in certain cases, a person using CBD products may test positive for the THC for several reasons. So the question I have before we go any further on it is, I guess a lot of people maybe are misguided thinking that saying, hey, by doing this, I'm safe if I'm taking CBD, but the actual THC could be what causes them to fail this drug test. So it's not overall safe for them to take, is it? Depending on what they're using and what the job is.
That point is very, very important. And what I got to say is that in society standard now, the drug test has been one of the ways to evaluate people out of a job, whether it's prior to being hired or while they are working. Um, we're in a new space now where the taboo has to be removed, and society itself got to move forward. There are some people that medicate, they medicate with a purpose and a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If they can be clinically diagnosed by a practitioner, they should be able to be used, especially if they are issued a license to use. So there's a lot that has to be put in place for training and support. It's still a gray area dealing with law enforcement, but I still feel that people who serve and serve the public daily, if they require the medication, there should be a limitation in the scope of the job if they uh, require. And we those are things that we have to look at when we're making the decisions or being a part of the process of making the decision of who does it affect and for how long.
Well, what you just said brought up a great point. What about these individuals? Not only did you talk about how it could prevent employment, what about these individuals who have the cards, who are taking it properly, who are taking it for medicinal purposes? But guess what? Now, all of a sudden, they've been injured at work and their workers' comp claims could be denied due to the fact of a positive test, even though they have the card.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
a
is an
huge factor
overwhelming concern. Yeah, that's a huge factor. Very overwhelming. Very
because
overwhelming.
the person may have the job, but now they could have been hurt following all the proper guidelines. But because, like we're going to talk about here in a minute, it may take up to 15 days of the trace of a CBD edible to disappear in your system. So they may not be actively on it, but they may have taken it almost 2 weeks ago and now injured themselves on the job. And those worker comp claims could be denied, or you could be a big fight legally to get your worker comp.
Gotcha.
You know,
And the thing about that is that even still on the military level, it's still disqualifying
right?
for use. So obviously in the workspace, especially if you have a government job, work for on any level, whether it's federal, state, or city, there's some challenges. There's some total challenges that has to be worked out.
Well, and remember the firefighter from New York that, yes, he did get his job back and he won the case, but he had everything. He had the medical card. He had not used within, I think they said, what, 12 to 16 hours within his shift, but they found out he used it and they fired him initially, even though he was doing everything proper by the state required to use it.
Yeah, yeah, that's very unfortunate too.
But he is back on the shift. We do know that. He did win the case, but it's a perfect example. You can follow your guidelines. You can do everything properly, medicinally, with the medical card, and still be affected by it. So now,
Absolutely.
so now my question is, what do you think could cause some of these failed drug tests? For example, mislabeling of the products. So if the product's mislabeled, how as a consumer do you go and battle that? Because that's on them, but that'd be a lot of money out of your pocket to fight it, wouldn't it?
It would be. You got to think about some of the companies and how they're offering it. I feel that there should be some form of controlled sampling of the product, um, so that way it adds to research and data, so we can establish stuff that goes into the public right away.
Well, now remember too, no, she's not here today, but Mark, you brought up that thing about the COC, your certification of compliance. that product needs to have it on it so that while you're at your CBD store, wherever it may be, you can scan it and you can get that information, because that's going to be your best bet of how to battle that. You know, and now think about it too. Another reason you could fail: cross-contamination. How many people have thought about that? You know, we've heard about cross-contamination, especially people who work in the restaurant industry, about, you know, whether it be fish, chicken, vegetables, different products. We've heard about that, but we don't talk about it enough in this. You could have that. What if somehow the people who were making it had some THC there, didn't properly clean and sanitize that area, and then use another product, and now THC is in a product that normally should not have it?
You're absolutely right.
You know, others may also fail the drug test due to secondhand exposure to THC. I had not heard that before, but that's interesting to think about too, such as when they're in a room with a heavy smoker for several hours. They say that the likelihood is quite small, but it is possible. Now, one thing they are suggesting is that you actually, you know, do, for example, how to avoid a positive test. Research the CBD product that we've mentioned, for example. Avoid low quality CBD tinctures. Buy CBD products only from manufacturers that are accredited with the Better Business Bureau. Look for CBD products manufacturers who use a third-party testing for their products. Research and ask the manufacturers about the processing techniques. Do a thorough check to see if the manufacturer had cases of cross-contamination. Now, that's something I'd love to talk to Marky a little bit about. To be honest, how do you ensure that unless they publicly record that, hey, we've had an instance where there has been some cross-contamination? Because if you as a consumer going to them, the manufacturer, and saying, hey, have you ever had cross-contamination? I would say 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no, correct? You know, why do you want to come out and expose something that you don't want to exempt blame for if there has not been any blame proven? I would think. You know, do a thorough check to see if the manufacturer had cases of cross-contamination. Avoid secondhand exposure. You know what? Tomorrow's going to be a hard day to avoid that. So if you're going to be around it, you're probably going to be around it. And then, of course, buy CBD products from only reputable manufacturers who produce pure THC products. And I would say also check your COC. Those would be some guidelines that I would highly, highly suggest for people. So now I've got a question for you, Sam, if you can still hear me.
All right, you loud? Okay.
I know there's a bunch of stuff going on throughout the nation tomorrow. Have you heard of any special events going on that people can maybe join in and partake in? Because, I mean, there's stuff, I think Atlanta's doing like 20 different 420 type of events. California has festivals, concerts. I think they're up to 75 to 100?
It is cold.
You're breaking up on me. I can't hear you too well if you're there. If you can hear me.
Okay, let 183 Forsyth Street. Doors open at 3. Doors close at 3 a.m. So we got a 12-hour event tomorrow. We'll definitely be reporting what's going on, so check us on our live. We will be streaming as well. We'll be talking about vendors, shedding some light on new products, opportunities that are out there, and then also the festival and the fellowship that's going on. It's a community event, as well as open to the community. There's a ticket cost. I'll send you the link so you can post that on our site as well. On my IG, I actually put up a little bit of the graffiti walls that we put up inside of some of the talent that we got coming in for the event.
And I'll tell you what, I saw some of that. And those who are not following him, he's going to give you that site here in a little bit for his Instagram. Go follow him. But yes, we're going to be doing some interviews. We're going to be taking photos. We're going to be meeting some of the vendors who will be there that are tied in the cannabis space for this event. But like I said, That's one that we are going to be associated with, a part of tomorrow. However, there is stuff all over the city, all over the nation. So do some research, get out there, get involved with it, support these people, support people like Wingstop, Ben and Jerry's, all of these companies that are helping to support our industry to help grow it. They need our help by supporting theirs.
Nate, did my mic go out while I was talking?
A little bit. I heard a little bit about Forsyth Street, and there's a charge and how long it is, but I couldn't get any other details.
Got it. So let me just repeat it again. So name of the location, Bamboo, Sesh Party ATL, located 183 Forsyth Street, indoor outdoor festival. Doors open at 3, doors close at 3 a.m. So it's a 12-hour event. Festival with over 100 vendors from the cannabis industry, not just from Atlanta, but from all over. And it'll be a fun-filled fellowship. It'll be a concert. We got T.I., Killer Mike, Bit Boy, Rich Homie Quam, just a few. Yeah, just to name a few. So we got performances throughout the day. And it's going to be a great day. Great day for 420. So please come to indulge, have a great time, and also to sesh out.
And did I hear? Not that I'll be in the middle of it. I got stuff to do, but I heard there's going to be a pool there too.
There is a pool. I don't expect it to turn into a pool party.
No.
We do have a very large display that will be in the pool, and that's just for part of the decorations. The first day party or pool party will probably be in May, so I'll keep everybody posted regarding that.
So I got something that literally just came across that I want to share and discuss for the time we have left. North Carolina, they are making medical marijuana history. Koala Bear and Goose Creek are poised to be the first two unique strands of marijuana legally sold in North Carolina. Now, it's developed by, check this out, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians on the eve of the medical cannabis superstore dispensary opening. Now, we'll put some of this up later too. We are developing a whole lot of strains, Parker told the Charlotte Observer on March 28th tour of their dispensary. On Thursday, April 20th, public access will be open for medical marijuana card applications. The card enables eligible adults to purchase dispensary products. The dispensary is expected to open on Cherokee tribal land by early fall. There appears to be growing support among North Carolina lawmakers for limited legalization of medical marijuana statewide. But now the Cherokee run the only legal operation, and it's the only place in North Carolina where buying and using medical marijuana is legal. There's already over 10 or 12 or 15 strands here, Parker says. There's going to be so many, there's no limit. Eventually, everything that we produce will come from our in-house genetics. What about that?
Oh, that's cool. That's totally cool.
It goes on to say that the tribe is developing strands through the on-site research. The strands will not only be best suited their mountain environment, but also yield high-quality cannabis. We spent about 10 months really trying to figure out which genetics really work for us. We're growing, cultivating a fairly unique strand here because the humidity, the climate, the temperature, and the season here in the Southeast is not an easy place to cultivate unless we're trying to just throw money at an infrastructure and do it all indoors.
So indoors is safer. It's
absolutely
way safer.
But
you can control the. Yeah, what I was saying is that you, with indoors, you can also control the exposure to the sun, which can enhance and increase the THC.
Well, absolutely. And not only are they doing it on reservation land, they're the first ones that are having the chance in North Carolina. So they're getting an opportunity that nobody else is really doing or able to do. They are trying to cultivate their own as well, which will put them possibly, as things continue, to have a foothold, not just in North Carolina, but throughout the nation with this.
Right.
I mean, this is fantastic news. And like I said, this is starting tomorrow. This literally came across the wire just after 11 a.m. this morning. Let's see if I can find a little bit more about the dispensary. Yeah, like we said there, it's going to hopefully be this fall. It's going to be QUALLA Enterprises LLC. That's the Tribe for Nonprofit Cannabis Business, and it's located in Cherokee, North Carolina. They're going to harvest this fall, as we stated. And what they're looking at, for example, we know the minimum age is 21. What they're hoping to do for these people with these strands, they are hoping to help people who have immune deficiency syndrome, anxiety, autism, cancer, the medical conditions, neuropathy. They also have all the information. Like I said, I'll put this up later, but you can literally apply for it through the ebci-ccb.org. Again, we'll put this up today. So you can start doing it. The cards will be good for 1 year. But how about this? Do I need a prescription from my doctor? No. Once your initial card application is approved, you're good. And that's all you need. Now, of course, you cannot use it in other states, as we know. They do not have a price yet on how much it's going to cost. And they're still working on which products are for sale, but they are saying there will be 2 strands available to begin at first. What does the tribal medication cannabis law apply? So, on tribal land, meaning 57,000 acres in North Carolina mountains and other tribal trust lands. That's where they're going to be able to do it. Can I take the medical marijuana home from the Cherokee lands? Unless you want to break the law, no. So, bright news is they're letting them do it, but you can only use it on that 57,000 acres. So, where do you think we stand on that? Where does that need to be fixed and changed?
It's a number of places. There it really started with the state's allowance for how much you can actually grow on that land. Of course, remember you have to report wherever you grow at to the FDA as well.
Right, because cardholders can buy 1 ounce of medical marijuana per day, but not to exceed 6 ounces per month, according to Chapter 17 of the Tribal Municipal Code. The cardholders can also purchase up to 2,500 milligrams of THC in medical cannabis products per day, not to exceed 10,000 milligrams per month, according to this code.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, to me, I see good news. I see potential holdbacks, but I also see where they possibly could really, really have a lot of potential to grow and change things in North Carolina. It's a small incremental start, but it is a start.
It is, and it's a native state, but North Carolina also has a ton of restrictions there, so the restrictions do have to be fixed.
No, absolutely. So I think it's first of all great that it's going to be on tribal land and it's focusing on Native Americans and tribal to begin with. That's a huge benefit, a huge plus for equity, but there's still going to be a lot of work that's going to need to be done to help move this forward.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is.
I was just looking at this other article to see if I could find anything different. Looks still about the same, but hey, you know what? This might be something that we need to go check out ourselves when it opens, because 57,000 acres, that'd be kind of nice to go spend a day on, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah. Where's it at?
So it's, let's see, let me go back up here real quick. It's in North Carolina, Cherokee, North Carolina. And what did I see? I just kind of saw mountains of North Carolina. I kind of had a better idea a minute ago. Let's look at this one. It's going to be 46 miles west of Asheville.
Okay.
So I don't know. We could probably make that in about what, 5.5 hours?
Asheville, North Carolina. Uh, yes, right closer to 6.
Okay. 5.5, 6. You know, get up one morning, drive up there, spend the afternoon. That would be a bad afternoon as long as the weather's good.
It sounds like it. Absolutely right.
So here's a little thing, and with just a few moments, if I can get there, just a few moments we have left. An article is 420 Day influencing young people. I mean, we're going to brief and scan over it, but what are your thoughts on that? Because to me, I see it as a two-way street. But what are your thoughts of, is it influencing young people?
Absolutely. It is a part of the culture that is addressing a number of traumas in the public right away. And I think that a lot of people use it for anxiety itself. In today's world, there's a lot more stress upon a lot of young people, and the consumption of use has been something to kind of keep them in a good, balanced space. It may create an imbalance in some, but for the most part, the public needs some form of therapy, and the exposure by the culture, I can see why it's needed.
No, absolutely. And some of the little guidelines here basically are stating, for example, avoid lecturing, threatening, or using scare tactics when talking to the teens about it. Stick to a short, frequent conversations than one big overall discussion. Always, this is key to me, always show genuine care about their health, wellness, and success, and reinforce. Now, this says reinforce why they should not use it, but at the same point, be honest about it. I mean, for example, I would much rather, now, not at their age, but I would much rather my children use this product than alcohol.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
I totally agree. But at the same time, you got to put the guidelines and stipulations on it so that way it can be safely used and consumed. Using the product, you can have some form of cannabis intoxication. Is still similar to alcohol intoxication.
mhm.
Totally, the properties are a little bit different. I have been on the realms of those on the both of those, and I could tell you that operating a motor vehicle is definitely not safe.
Right. No,
Certain activities are definitely not safe.
no, absolutely. And one of the reasons for this article is they're stating in Iowa, roughly 8% of 12 to 17-year-olds reportedly used drugs in the last month. Among those teens, 73% reported using marijuana.
73.
73% of that age range.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, it's definitely, let's not be blind about it. Let's not be naive. It is out there and it is being used. But guess what? It happened when I was a teenager. Maybe not as frequent as we're seeing now, but it was happening then too. This is not
Right.
new.
No, it's not.
I mean, look at your videos of Woodstock, for example. Yes, I understand most of them were probably, over 17, 18, but it was used then. This is not something that all of a sudden we reinvented the wheel and this is a new issue. This has been around for generations.
Oh yeah.
But we're coming up on it now. So hey, guess what? I think we all learned some stuff. I know I learned about the origins of 420. I didn't know what that was and how that came about. That news in North Carolina was big. We're, of course, going to be at that event tomorrow, which we will have information on our social medias today, more about it. We'll have photos, we'll have interviews, we'll have video from there. Look forward to seeing everybody again next week. Some of y'all might need, 4 days to recoup from 420? So you might have a really good 420 and a 4 weekend. But hey, for everybody that's listening, Sam, where your closing thoughts, ideas, where they can connect with you?
Definitely follow me, Big Boy Sam with 2 M's. Also follow Smancha Foundation. Tune in tomorrow because we will be reporting live
Yes.
from the Sesh ATO. So definitely tune in after 3 o'clock. We'll give you live updates right there on the spot, supporting the industry, supporting cannabis vendors that's in that space who are also cannabis businesses as well. So definitely, if you get a chance to come and check it out, check out Sesh Party ATL. Um, and once again, thank you all for tuning in. And we'll definitely check you out next week.
And absolutely, we're going to have photos and videos. We're going to be putting those up on our social media. We'll be going live from Instagram at different parts throughout the day. We'll be posting some stuff on our YouTube channel. So if you have not followed and joined that yet, subscribe to it. Please do. Matcha Foundation. That's where our videos are available for rebroadcast at any time. So, guys, we look forward to showing you what we're going to have over the next couple of days. Seeing you next week. Follow me at DJNQ, both on Instagram and Twitter. And, of course, our Matcha Foundation page, whether that be YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or guess what? Follow them all and spread the word for us, please.
Absolutely.
But we thank you guys for coming. Another quick hour, but tomorrow's going to be fun and exciting. Check us out throughout the day. Like I said, we're going to be posting videos, photos, not just tomorrow, but throughout the coming days. So, hey, we got a lot of fun stuff coming. I hope to meet some of you guys there. You're there, you see us, come up, say hi. We look forward to meeting people out there for sure.
Let's connect. Come and support. Be a part of the industry. Thank you again.
Everybody have a blessed weekend. Enjoy 420, 421, 22, whenever you can, however you can. And we will see you guys here next Wednesday.